أن نستقبل الدكتور أندرياس شوير، حيث يشغل الدكتور أندرياس منصب الرئيس التنفيذي للشركة السعودية للصناعات العسكرية، ويتطلع الدكتور للارتقاء بالشركة ضمن أفضل 25 شركة متخصصة في هذا القطاع على مستوى العالم بحلول العام 2030. وقبل انضمامه إلى الشركة السعودية تقلد منصب رئيس قسم الأنظمة القتالية في شركة ران ميثال إي جي، ثم تولى منصب رئيس مجلس الإدارة والرئيس للشركة في عام 2008. انضم الدكتور إلى الشركة مانيتواك بمنصب نائب الرئيس التنفيذي للهندسة والابتكار العالمي، كما تقلد لاحقاً منصب مدير عام فرع الشركة في ألمانيا. وكان الدكتور قد استهل مسيرته المهنية في مجموعة إيرباص، حيث تقلد عدد من المناصب القيادية، وقد بدأ عمله في منصب رئيس المهندسين لمشروع الميتوسات في قسم أنظمة دفع الأقمار الصناعية، وبعدها تقلد منصب نائب الرئيس لقسم مراقبة الأرض وبالأقمار الصناعية العلمية. وقد تولى في عام 2003 مسؤولية إدارة الأرباح والخسائر لميزانية تقدر بحوالي 300 مليون يورو، وكان لخبرته دورا رئيسيا لتأهيله في العمل على برنامج عالمي لتوجيع الأقمار الصناعية أنشأه الاتحاد الأوروبي عن طريق وكالة الفضاء الأوروبية. في عام 2005 انضم الدكتور إلى شركة إيرباص هيليكوبترز التابعة لمجموعة إيرباص. حصل على درجة الماجستير في هندسة الطيران من جامعة شتوتغارت الألمانية، ثم بدأ في برنامج الدكتوراه في المحاكاة الرقمية، حيث حصل على الدكتوراه عام 77. Now you can start, Dr. Andreas.
Yeah. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Demir, thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. I think Turkey is a showcase. It's a pilot case for Saudi Arabia, and I can just congratulate to your outstanding success, what you have achieved over the last 20 years. For me, it's a very new kind of setup here, sitting in front of the audience and giving the speech in this kind of setup, but I will do my very best. Before I started at Sami, I was asked, why do you do that? Why do you go to Saudi Arabia? Why do you join Sami? And I tell everybody who is asking me the question, it is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. It's a unique chance because you can participate to a huge endeavor, setting up a new company who will become one of the biggest players in the world in a couple of years from now, covering the entire range of military products, whether we talk about aeronautics, shipbuilding, land, everything is included. And it's not only a once-in-a-lifetime chance for me, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance for anybody who will join Sami as an employee, and a unique chance also for all companies who want to cooperate with us in this endeavor. And I cordially want to thank you, His Royal Highness, and my chairman, His Excellency Mr. Al-Khatib, for giving us all the support to make this journey a great success. So, Sami will become a core pillar of the Vision 2030. We are starting with a clear objective to increase the local content from today of about 2% to 50% in spending, which is a huge journey which we have to take. We are set up in such a way that we are owned 100% by the public investment fund. Why do we do that? Why are we not owned by MOD or another ministry? It's done that way in order to make it clear that we are treated as a commercial enterprise, as a commercial company. Our aim is to achieve commercial profits on a sustainable baseline from today up to the far end. And we are not devoted to just serve one ministry. Our mission is to serve any kind of military or security needs within the kingdom, whether it's land forces, whether it's a special force, MOI, any kind of customer we will serve with our kind of products. The public investment fund, our shareholder, is very successfully supporting strategic investments within the kingdom, but also outside the kingdom. One of its major missions is to diversify the industry, and we are part of this diversification activity. Sami is becoming the big pillar in defense industry in Saudi Arabia. And as such, Sami as I was just mentioning, will invest only in economically viable, sustainable business. We do nothing just for the pride. We only do things in order to become commercially attractive and successful to serve the kingdom's need. What is the ecosystem? What is our target ecosystem in Saudi Arabia on the defense side? We have to define our strategy, what we have done. The strategy is based on the needs and the long-term operational, I would say, objectives of the forces within the kingdom. Based on that, we as an industry have to develop our strategy, our roadmap, not only for us, for the entire supply chain behind us. And at the same time, we have to think about our export strategies, as we do not want to serve only the kingdom, but 20 to 30%, and that's our objective. We want to go into the export. Once this strategy is defined, we will look into the technology side. We have to identify product by product what are the key and core technologies which we must get under control, which we must be able to master in order to become successful. Those type of IPRs, those type of technologies will not only be derived by Sami. This will be done in a very close partnership and collaboration with local universities. The link to academia is extremely important, not only to create the IPRs, also to get the human resource capital, to get the right people educated on those kind of domains which we need for in the future. Even if technology is there and the strategy is defined, we need some other elements. We need the legislation behind us. We need the political support in order to make it a success. So we need to get incentives from the government. Any local investor needs to get incentives from the government in order to make his business viable here. We need to determine exactly what kind of balance we need to achieve in terms of political support in order to make this a viable and sustainable business case for all of us here in the kingdom. And I can tell you, we are in a very good position to get pretty soon a clear agreement on what kind of, I would say, support we get in order to make this really happen. And not only for the national market, we also need to get strong support from the political side in order to go into export markets. We need to get the export licenses in order to achieve the export successes which are part of our business plan, part of our journey. On the financial and procurement side, we need to get support through the government by allocating the respective budget, not only to industry, but also to universities, to the academia, in order to have the funds being available to develop those kind of things which we need to get into the production phase later on. And we've just seen in the presentation of Professor Demir how much investment was necessary in the Turkish side in order to get those great achievements done. So it was 500, 700, 800 million per year. Today you have said it's $1.2 billion per year spending on R&D to achieve your mission. That's also required here for Saudi Arabia. Let's talk about Sami. More than 15 months ago, a so-called establishment team got the task of His Royal Highness to develop the concept of Sami. Sami started with a very small team identifying all the needs and setting up the kind of structure. They first started identifying the areas of activity, areas where the future spending will be, areas where we can build up a profitable business. They did so also then in analyzing international best practices. They were looking to other countries around us who did this journey in a very successful manner. Turkey was one primary example of that. Others are South Africa or South Korea. Based on that, Sami has defined its mission. And among other targets, we have a clear target to become one of the top 25 global defense companies by 2030. Not only in manufacturing, also in managing the technology, in being owner of cutting-edge technology. Once the mission and the vision has been set, we started to define our governance structure and our organization principles. And based on that one, we started to define our potential partners. Partners who help us achieving those targets, as we, by ourselves, will not be able to make this happen. So we have built a kind of atlas of potential strategic partners covering all domains of activities. So what are the key criteria to be considered as a strategic partner for Sami in the Saudi industry? First of all, partners need to have cutting-edge technology. Second, they need to have a broad product portfolio. The more they can cover, the more interesting they are for us, as it is easier from an administration purpose to have very strong broad partners. Third, the partners need to have the full readiness and give us their full commitment for localization of their technologies, IPRs, and all their know-how, because that's the essence of our mission. And fourth, the industrial partners need to have the full backing of their governments. Without the full backing of the government, we would still be depending on foreign governments' approval, and part of our journey to be an indigenous, self-sufficient defense industries to become as least as possible depending on foreign government export approvals. And fifth argument of the fifth criteria is we want to get obviously fair value for our money. So if partners are ready to fulfill those 5 criteria, they are more than welcome to become a strategic partner of Sami and to build together with us the big industry. So once the partners are selected, and we are currently in the middle of this process, we will build up business plans and we will create joint ventures with those partners in order to get into the operational phase. And based on that, we will define our long-term goals, we will detail it, and we will have a very detailed 3 or 5 years plan ahead of us. So this is a kind of journey which we have to go. We are currently at the point of selecting the partners, as I told you, and pretty soon we will come out with announcements on who will be our partners in which kind of domain. So those close partnerships with industries will be accompanied by partnerships with universities. We expect a kind of, I would say, rectangular concept. There's the Saudi industry with the joint ventures, there's the international industry being linked to us through strategic partnerships with the local industry, with the local universities, and the local universities will close partnerships with foreign top-notch universities, preferably in the same countries where our foreign partner is, in order to have this kind of human resource ecosystem working. So I'm convinced at the very end, the most critical point, the most critical factor for success here in the kingdom is to get the right number of people to the industry, well educated at each point of qualification. Without that, we won't be able to fulfill it. So it's all about people. It's about partnership, and it's about products. Products which we want to define and to produce at international levels, at international specifications, with all the relevant core technologies being localized within the kingdom, and always staying scalable and modular in order to expand. Let's go to the organization of Sami. Sami will be organized as a kind of holding organization, a holding structure, as any big enterprise is set up today in Western world. This holding company will have 4 operating divisions. One is aeronautics, 1 land systems, 1 weapon and missiles, and 1 defense electronics. Those divisions will be composed of business units. A business unit is typically a joint venture with a foreign partner, or could be an existing local asset. And the four divisions with which we will start with might be accompanied by further divisions which we will set up at a later point in time. So we keep it open. Let's look to the first one, aeronautics. In aeronautics, we will be engaged in tactical and combat manned aircraft, in transport aircraft, so heavy lift capabilities, in rotorcraft, and in the UAV business. Not only tactical UAVs, also strategic UAVs. And as we have been talking very much about the supply chain, we want to build up a very profound and solid supply chain based around aeronautical structures, in both on the composite side as well as on the high precision metallic machine parts side. This supply chain we will not only use to produce our own components and products for our own aircraft or vehicles, we also want to become partner of the supply chain of our partners in their commercial aircraft lines. Why do we want to do that? We believe it is indispensable to get a kind of very sustainable, fixed and robust baseline capacity, which you only can get if you're active also on the commercial side. So we will do that. We will have civil production, commercial production, and military production in those kind of factories. And to make it clear what we expect in terms of technology transfer, we expect, if I may take the example of a vehicle, we expect really key technologies like how to design a drivetrain, how to design the protection system, inclusive the ballistic simulation for a vehicle, how to design a fire control system for a turret. Or if I may talk in optoelectronics, we're not only interested in the final assembly of a missile or a guided weapon, we want to understand how to design an inertial platform. We want to understand the detector technology. All that needs to be brought to the kingdom through our international partners to the common benefit. Let's go to the next one, land system. In land system, we will cover the entire range from small 4x4 armored vehicles up to main battle tanks. We also will localize logistics vehicles, small trucks up to very heavy utility trucks. We will be engaged in turret systems, whether it's small caliber, medium caliber, or large caliber turrets. Protection systems, as I was just mentioning, not only passive, we are also looking to reactive and active protection systems, and obviously also unmanned ground vehicles. So you can see it's a quite comprehensive picture. The third division, which is called Weapon and Missile, will have the full competence portfolio of guided weapons, of their launcher systems, and any kind of conventional weapon ammunition and gun systems. When we talk about ammunition, we talk about small caliber, medium caliber, large caliber, up to aircraft bombs. The fourth division is defense electronics. Doesn't work. Defense electronics, we will be dealing with radar and microwave equipment, optoelectronics, and all the respective sensor technologies behind. Communication systems, electronic warfare systems, C4I or C5I systems, cyber warfare technology, and naval combat systems. In the future, we might extend this portfolio also into other areas, some of which I've shown you on the left side. We will have a kind of cluster of activities, which we call today emerging technologies, which is around, which will be handling different area of activities. Some of them are here, like high-energy laser weapon systems, electromagnetic pulse weapons, robotics in general terms, swarm technologies for aerial, land-based, and also naval applications, and also spaceborne activities. So please help me, it doesn't get forward anymore. Okay. So all in all, we will have by 2030 a company which has the size of around about $10 billion of annual sales. $10 billion. This will boost up into the league of the top 25 companies. And this is based on today's economic values. We will serve by that minimum 14 billion reals per year into the Saudi economy. We will create minimum 40,000 direct jobs within Sami and its supplier base, plus all the indirect jobs. So in total, the military ecosystem here will have more than 100,000 employees on the industrial side. We will spend, together with our partners in industry and our partners from the academia side, more than 6 billion SAR until 2030. And more than 5 billion SAR we expect in 2030 just going into the export per year. So you can see, we will talk about big numbers. It's a very challenging exercise, but given the support which we have from His Royal Highness and all the local stakeholders, I'm more than confident that we will achieve it. We will achieve it with you, as our partners and with all the universities supporting us and all the local assets which we have today in the kingdom. Thank you very much.
وندعوكم إذا كان هناك أي سؤال.
Thanks for the presentation. Here you have just mentioned the spending on research and development. By looking at the successful experiences of South Korea or Turkey.
Can you speak a little bit louder, please?
Yes. When we look at the successful experiences of South Korea and Turkey, we can see that they have started from reverse engineering rather than R&D. They emphasized the role of assembly, and then they moved up the value chain over time. What is your plan on this regard? Is R&D going to be in a future stages, or it's going to be in a near stage?
So we obviously are not too over-ambitious. We will start the same way. We will start on the value chain from final assembly, going down our subsystems to components and the technologies in order to get this ecosystem alive. Nevertheless, we can't afford doing it at the same pace as the other countries were doing it, because our target is 2030. So we need, to some extent, parallelize activities in order to catch up. Simply, we can't afford waiting that long time. And we can achieve that by learning what the others have done, and we can achieve that by having a very in-depth involvement of our partners in the kingdom. Our joint ventures will be set up in such a way that we do not want the foreign partners to come, implement a system, train us, and leave the table. Our philosophy is that we create sustainable joint ventures with foreign partners, and we want them to lead the day-to-day business. We want them to manage those companies and to stay with us for a very long time. Why? Because we are convinced this is the only way to get their full-term and long-term commitment, and it's the only chance that we can get into collaborative environments where we develop in the kingdom, in our joint venture, and being linked to their developments in the home country to go forward. That's the only way to keep on going, and not to get just one time kind of technology served to Saudi Arabia, and then we are left alone. And I agree, it's ambitious, and the R&D field needs to be triggered more or less at the same time, but we will not cover all the range at the same time. We will concentrate on some key enabling technologies and then go from there.
This is Tamim al-Shibl from Saudi Mechanical Industries. Thank you, Dr. Andres, for the presentation. Welcome to Saudi Arabia. And as actually the main challenge, there is already an infrastructure or good industrial base here in Saudi Arabia. The problem is how to connect that to the industrial sector. And the main challenge is the certification. We've been struggling as a local manufacturers with that part of the process, and we believe that Sami should play a major role on that. How, if could you just shed some light on that, because it's a major challenge for us. Yeah. Thank you.
As it was mentioned this morning, before any contract we design in the future, the entire strategy on the localization related to this program must be defined and must be committed contractually by the foreign partner. Part of this kind of commitment is the commitment to help us in certifying our supply chain, which is related to this product, irrespective of whether that's part of the Sami context or another type of industry in the kingdom. So they need to send their experts, helping us setting up the supply chain, the local production, and certify it to their standards, to international standards. Otherwise, we won't sign.
For Dr. Andres, congratulations. This is very ambitious and very well-defined plan and vision. Really, it's clear, and I think I feel very good about it, because you emphasized in your vision the importance of talent. This is a very big challenge. How do you have, I'm sure you have some ideas, but could you please elaborate on what is your strategy in recruiting, and maintaining and developing the talents of the Saudi talents?
To your second point, we know that for minimum 10 years ahead, what will be the procurement programs or the needs of our forces in the kingdom. We have a very detailed list of what this is all about, whether it's aeronautics, naval, or on the land side. And we know the quantities. We have an idea on the specification behind, and we have a clear vision and a mission, and we know what we want in terms of localization. Based on those kind of inputs, we can quantify how many engineers in the mechanical domain, electrical domain, software domain, how many technicians, blue-collar workers we will need over time. This needs to be aligned with the educational sector in the kingdom, which we can't do. We can give this input to the Ministry of Education, to GAMI as a regulatory body, and tell them this is the kind of, I would say, need, human capital need, which we need to get, and we are helping to support, to let them grow. So we expect that universities will adapt their curriculum to our needs, covering all the core technologies which we need to be able to master, and also to make available the necessary number of seats, places for students. At the same time, we expect our partners, with their partner universities in the States, in Europe, or wherever, to do the same, to mirror that demand. And then it's just about to find the right talents in the kingdom for those kind of places at universities and to let them grow. We as Sami and our suppliers will offer an adequate number of internships. We will link those students to industry right from the beginning. We will offer them opportunities to do their bachelor and master thesis in order to get them trained and to link them to our system from the beginning. And as they will get by that the chance to work in actual programs, not some kind of hypothetical activity in the backyard, they will get attracted. They will get so much attracted that they will stay with us after the graduation. And by that we can get a kind of workforce, a young workforce, very engaged and very, very motivated in order to make all that happen. That's the only way forward, but it will remain the critical factor in this mission.
Hi, my name is Omar Yıldız. I'm from Turkish Aerospace Industries. And my question is for Mr. Andreas. I'm here. Okay. And how do you draw the line between the civil industries and the military industries? And is it possible for a military industry to stay alone on its feet without help, support, and close cooperation from the civil industries? And also, I would like to make also one comment as well regarding the technology transfer and the R&D. These are both separate activities that should start, I believe, simultaneously.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the kind of competences which you need are to a large extent similar or the same, whether it's civil aeronautics or whether it's military aeronautics. And we have not the luxury here to treat that completely independent. We don't have the number of people to do that. So we need to start from a kind of common pool, and we will create a kind of, I would say, dual-use industry, dual-use factories in order to serve both parts, the military and the civil part. First of all, I can't have a sustainable business just based on military on the long term. And the second is we can learn also lots from the commercial world in terms of efficiency, competitiveness. That's the reason why I'm a strong supporter of setting up this in a kind of, I would say, one-way street, combined civil and military. And as I said in the beginning, we need the help of foreign partners who did that already and who have suffered the same kind of journey. And we are in contact with those partners already in order to set this up. But this is a complicated subject because here we need to get certification. If you talk in aeronautics, certification not only on the civil side but also on the military side. So we will go that step by step. But as I told you before, for me it's indispensable to invest in the beginning in the setup of components factory, structural components factory. We will do that, and we will get this as a backbone to our aeronautics industry. But we will do the same also in the other domains, whether it's land or potentially sea. But aeronautics is the most complex one, I have to agree.
Question to Dr. Andreyas. I can see that you have, or Sami have endorsed most of the military activity, but you have excluded the naval shipbuilding from your plans. Can we know why?
It was studied before my arrival. It was studied by the establishment team, and when they were looking to where the money lies and where the sustainability lies, they found out that most of the money is obviously in the combat system, not in the shipbuilding, due to the overcapacity on the marketplace. It's a kind of commodity, meanwhile, to get military platforms, and also due to the fact that the investment in an adequate shipyard is quite significant. The decision which has been taken is not a final or ultimate decision. We might revisit that one. The more we look into the long-term future, the more we see the need of a complete renovation of the existing fleet and a significant expansion. So if you ask me, but that's my personal opinion, we can fill up a shipyard easily over the next 20, 30 years with shipbuilding. But we might revisit this point.